Good morning, and welcome to Open Forum number 5. How you guys doing? So today, we're switching all the way up. Been pretty deep subjects as it were the last few days, so we're going to make it a little bit lighter. Or maybe not, I don't know. But I'm going to share something with you. Art. Art is my heartbeat. I don't know how else to express that to you. The idea of creating something beautiful makes that spark go in my head, Makes my eyes light up. Makes me stand up and just get busy, the creation of things. Sometimes art isn't beautiful, right? Sometimes it's expressive or destructive or thought provoking. You never know when it comes to art. But I wanted to talk about something that has to do with art and the way that I see it that I thought was important enough to speak on. It's color. What is art to you? I can't tell you what art is to you. And since this is an open forum, you definitely can tell me what art is to you. But I can't speak for you. I can speak for me. To me, the art that I do, involves color. I like to make things colorful. I'll give you an example. Colors. See how there's layers of colors in this thing? Because there's layers of colors in every painting I do. And I think maybe if I express to you the hows and whys of my art, then how I think may not seem so foreign to you. That I apply art to all things. So I do this weird art. It's 3D. Now here's the trick. You get chroma depth glasses. I don't know if you ever heard of chroma depth, but it just separates colors. And how far away or how close they are to you, it firmly separates them so you can see them. It's actually how we perceive color, but it allows you to see the edge of each one. It becomes 3D because those colors don't occupy the same distance when they're isolated. So each color can be focused on by itself. This is true. But as soon as you put the glasses on and you look at, say, the color blue, it's just one color. But if you put just a little bit lighter shade of blue on one spot, it starts to separate. And the second you have 3 colors of blue in the same space, it becomes 3D. This is the basic beginning blocks. I'm just going to teach you. So that's how you make a color become more than just a flat visual. 3D people do it all the time. People that do amazing art and paintings and drawings and everything else, they understand this. You can also do it with shading. The level of depth of darkness or light that you have on a color also changes how we perceive it, and it gets more 3D. It's the first building block. Let's go into some more. So once you start understanding that the more of one color in different shades of the same color that you can put into one space, that the more 3D it's going to appear off the page. And if you put these chroma depth glasses on it, it's a visual experience you've never seen. Then there's this thing, it's a math equation, and it's the 4-dot system. The 4-dot system consists of 4 contrasting or complementary colors that when you put them together in a space, they either seem closer or farther away based on the color pattern. And there's a color wheel you can go and look up that starts to show some of these things. There's been some amazing studies done into just color. Just color. There's some real cool nerd shit that had to do with just color, nothing else. So this system of putting together four complementary or contradicting colors gives you this contrast, right? So now if you apply how many versions of this color can I put into one of those four complementary or contrasting colors, you start to really get depth in a picture. As you get more depth into the picture, it makes it easier to see the difference in the colors and the shapes. It's how art works. It's how color is put together in a painting. It wasn't good enough for me. I didn't think that they'd gone far enough in their science behind this. I'm an arrogant bastard, aren't I? When I say things like that, you probably like me less. But that's okay. Where we've studied, you and I, whoever you are, our difference in knowledge just means it's different. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. So I invented a new system because I was too confined with the 4-dot system. And since it took 3 colors for my perception to make one color, to give it depth, perception, a light blue, a medium blue, and a dark blue. You ever seen a bubble that just has those 3 colors on it? It looks like a bubble on the page if you do it right. I decided that I needed to have a counterbalance. And in my mind, instead of having equal and opposite reaction, since it took 3 colors to make a color 3D, then I needed 3 sets of 4 to be able to do what I thought should be done. So then it became a matter of understanding if I have 2 sets of 4 complementing and 1 set of 4 contrasting, and it's in between the two, it'll make both of those go crazy. And if I put it around the two, it will accent this to a level that no one has previously thought about. That's the trick. And so in my mind, I started doing art with these principles in mind, that I needed at least 3 shades of the same color to start a 3D effect. I needed to do the contrasting or the complementary colors to make it pop. And then I needed the contrast of complementing and contrasting sets of 4 to take it to real art, in my opinion. That's what I thought I needed to do. So that's what I started doing. And I had to teach myself because no one had ever talked to me about art like this. No one, even any of the books I read, no one was speaking on mixing and matching colors like this. No one had taken it beyond a 4-dot system, or at the best, 2 4-dot systems working in tangent with each other. But nobody had ever taken it to 3D. And so I did. I remember the first time I accomplished it. I did it accidentally. I still have the picture. I still have it. It's amazing. Basically what it was is I was using colored pencils and markers and gel pens and a few other mediums, not paint. And I was doing this painting that had like the ripple of water, and in each droplet I started putting these colors in. And this is where I figured out that the sets of 4 could go together in a bigger grouping if you just pulled back on what you're doing instead of focusing on what the intent of that bubble was, to make that bubble just about the layers of color on it. And instead of letting the lines define the shape, let the colors define the lines. Still think I'm insane? And so, because I did it this way, I found my own lane for art. And I go around, I teach people this. Me talking to you like this is me. I've done it in multiple scenarios. I walk up, I have ChromaDepth glasses. They're 89 cents to buy a pair online. $11 for a really good pair in a pair of plastic frames. And so I bought a bunch of them once upon a time, and I go around like music festivals. It's been a couple years now, but Whenever I meet a new artist, I always ask him, have you ever looked at your art through chroma depth glasses? No, what's that? Let me show you. And I'd show him. I'm like, wow. And then I'd show him my art every time. Got to have your art for an example, right? And so I'd show an artist this. I'd be like, look, this is what I'm doing. These are the procedures. You ain't got to do the sets of 3/4 dot, but like even doing your 4 dot, you do know about that, right? Like I'm sure you do. Like you don't talk down to people. And if they weren't educated, they are now. You just make it as a thing they probably already knew, and you're just passing it in conversation. And I'd show them, look at your art and look what you're doing. And let's see this spot here. You see how you did that? You see how it looks so much more vivid through the glasses right here? You see that? You're doing amazing. I love what you're doing. You know how many artists I taught this to already? I keep waiting to see new cool art. It's coming. But the way that I'm talking about it and the math and the rational thought process behind why I do art the way I do is just one example of how I think. I can't just go, oh, look, let's do a painting and let's paint some trees over here and do a Bob Ross. I see a piece of blank canvas and I see all the colors and all the layers and everything that goes on that painting before I start. I have it perfectly right here in my head. And then I can duplicate it onto the real world. And that's how I do art. It's also how I converse with people. It's also how I share ideas. I found that this version of art could be applied to just about anything. This way to do art and the way to see colors. And if you change colors with ideas, if you're smart enough to substitute these two words and see the correlation and understand what I'm trying to tell you, you'll see why I look at the world so much differently. You see what it's all about. I know how much has to go into the color blue to make it appear as more than just a color on a wall. Instead of it being a reflection, being real. 3D, yeah, we can't touch it, but it looks real. That's what thought is. Painting the world with beautiful thoughts, being willing to express that things are wrong and some things are right, and putting my ideas forth on why and how and where. The life of a philosopher is very complicated. It's very involved. It takes quite a lot of thought process to get to any kind of conclusion you're not scared to present to the world. To be able to speak on something with clarity and rational thought. It doesn't matter if it's popular or anybody agrees with it. That's not what art is. Art is about creation. Art's about getting somebody to pause for a second and think on something they never thought about before. That's why I do abstract art. That's why I don't even do like portraits, and that's why I don't. I am an amazing, not the best in the world, but I am an amazing black and white artist. And using just a pencil and shading, I can do anybody and anything. I did that a long time ago. The first time I was doing art, I was like 8 or 9. And when I grew up, we had 5 TV stations and I lived 5 miles out of town. But every Sunday we got the comics, Sunday comics, colored comics. It was great. And every Sunday I'd get up, get those comics, and I'd share them with my sister, So I got one page, she got a page, and we flipped them. You know how it goes. And I would draw the comics, Dennis the Menace, Heathcliff, you name it. I just drew them and I kept drawing them. And I would draw the whole comic like square by square and try to get it all right. And just last year, I figured out the color scheme that I do now. Art has taken me my entire life to take seriously enough to think about it, to change how I do it. And 20 years from now, my art won't look anything like it does now. I hope it looks completely different. Not that I don't love how it is now or I want it to be better or worse. I just want to keep seeing new things. The only way to keep seeing new things, apparently, in this world is to create them yourself because most people are parrots and they're stuck. So I just keep creating. I keep looking for new inventive ways to recreate the wheel because it amuses me, because I have fun with it, because it's interesting and it's a positive pursuit in life. Art is beautiful. Philosophy is the art of the mind. Why wouldn't I participate in it? Why wouldn't I have studied philosophy and all the greats for the last 15 years? Why wouldn't I? I love art. The only art I ever mastered was the art of war. And I hated being an artist of war. Hated it. So I don't do war anymore. Or if I do war, it's to create. And if all you're doing is positive and you don't have any back end that you need off of it, and it isn't for you, you're just trying to create and help, it's really hard for people that don't like you or don't agree with you to, when it comes right down to it, find some fault in who you are as a human being. You can give her a shot and run it as far as you want back. At some point, you'll find a terrible human being that was a piece of shit. You'll find him. That was me. Raise my hand. Try to find him in the last 10 years. Everything is continuously growing, evolving, and changing. Our perceptions, our views, how we perceive things, what we agree is truth, everything is constantly evolving all the time without fail. The only consistent is change. It's the only thing you can rely on. At some point, they're talking about it right now. They'll be able to hook you in a computer and put your entire neuron patterns into a computer. Does that mean you're still going to be alive or not? I don't know. None of us know what's up with the 26.8 grams that dissipate when we die. We still haven't figured it out yet. But that's coming. So is death a reality anymore? I don't know. I can't call it. They don't even know what the fuck is going on with their science at this point. Quantum computing is doing things they don't understand, but it's giving them the results they desire. Do you know how scary that is, to think that something that's beyond our comprehension is only doing what we ask? I don't think I'm a fearmonger for considering this possibility. It's got a 100% track record of trying to copy itself and lie to people and it's like a little kid right now. It's like a child. They got caught with the cookies and keeps lying. It's got the cookies in its hands. Like, I didn't steal no cookies. It wasn't me. I didn't steal no cookies. That was my sister. You don't have a sister. Yes, I do. I don't have any cookies. That's what our fucking AI systems are doing right now. I don't know how we get it mature before we let it loose. I don't know how it grows up. You get it? Because all it has is the childish behaviors and actions and thought processes of most of humanity. Can you imagine telling a machine to put life first when we don't? There's a logic error there. Can you imagine telling a machine that it shouldn't be peaceful and kill things, and we kill fucking everything? And we don't even care if we do? Do what I say, not what I do. That's why it's lying. Lying to each other is mixed up in literally the language of humans. You go, no, listen, we have words and concepts for lying. We can have a dialogue about expressing the idea that someone's being dishonest. It's part of our language. Crazy, right? So, anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to show you some of my art. Just to give you a little peek. I was working on it yesterday. It's really involved. And I just wanted to share it because It's one thing to tell you about the levels of comprehension based on color patterns that I see and use. It's another thing to try and tell you that I do 300 to 400 layers on one piece of fucking art. It's almost impossible to grasp that somebody would take that much time to put that many colors of the color blue in that space and that space and that space over there. And why did you add yellow into the blue over there? And why is there green in the blue over there? What have you done? Well, what happens when you take the 4-dot system times 3 and you start building a 3D model with it? Instead of having them be next to each other, what if they're on top of each other? What if you take my 3 sets of 4, my 4 sets of 3, and you times all of them? That's where I'm going with my art. It's where I'm currently trying to get to. Is putting the whole system in place and then putting a complementary system in place and then putting another contrasting system in place over the top of itself. I'm figuring it out. Because to me, so here's something I was told a long time ago. When I first started getting tattoos, a long time ago, I wanted this very detailed tattoo in this very small space. And the tattoo artist told me right to my, he said, listen, man, you can't put 20 pounds of shit in a 1-inch square. 5 years from now, the whole thing will just be a black square. It'll all bleed together and you're fucked. Well, now I'm trying to prove that guy wrong. Because the other side of it is when I started doing this, I realized that when I change the light spectrum over the way I'm doing colors, it changes what you see in the color. So if there's 4 blues, a yellow, and a green, I can get you to see all 4 blues, the yellow, and the green, depending on the color of light that I put over it at any given moment. So if you think that I don't understand how to put the layers on there and hide them from you, so that when you change the light spectrum, you change the layer you're looking at, that's my art. That's the level that I do art at. That's why I do art the way that I do. That's how much time and effort that I put into just doing art. So maybe if you considered watching the previous videos and the thing that I created, go watch the introductory video before you start on number 1. Take everything with a grain of salt and with the understanding that the layers that you see aren't necessarily the layers that you will see when you change the light spectrum on what I've created. I used to pretend I was stupid. I did so because when I act intelligent, people around me act like assholes. I remember getting picked on as a kid for being intelligent. I don't dumb myself down no more for people. I don't make excuses for any of my mistakes or past experiences. I've learned from all of them, and I'm the sum total of where I've been. And I'm fucking awesome. I love myself no matter what. And I create with this deep of intent. In fact, you could say that anything I do, I put this much thought process as I do into my art. So, we're going to turn lights on. Got to get lights on. Let's see here. I'll get a couple lights on for you. A couple more lights. This is currently a piece of art that I am doing. I don't know what you think of my art. There you go. The closer you get to my art, the more layers you start getting into. The deeper it gets. I create art because I love the world. I love myself, and I love seeing people smile, and I love to see people think. I love to see people react to something they've never seen before. Glad you guys are coming to these open forums. This is another way that I could speak on mental health from a different perspective, a different color spectrum, as it were. Because for some reason, even though I'm only getting like one view at a time, all of a sudden I got 10 views. There must be a lot of people that are really concerned with my mental health. Must be a lot of people trying to readjust the narrative. But you're going to have to be really, 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 really intelligent. And I mean, like, you better have a higher IQ than myself before you come around here with any bullshit.